Hello and good morning, everyone. Only Positivity here. I have my coffee with me, ready to explore this new phase of life with you all. So over the past few years, I have gained a whole new perspective on life, and I've realized that life is too short to not be enjoying yourself while doing great things. So come along with me as I explore this new lens through fitness, photography, reading, traveling, cannabis, and much more. Looking forward to the journey, guys. And remember, only positivity. Hello and good morning, everyone. Only Positivity here. I have my coffee with me, ready to kick off podcast number 71 on this playlist that I'm looking to launch called Elevated Thoughts. Now, before diving into the book and everything like that for today, let's go and start with the level set. So, as I endeavor upon pursuing knowledge and life experience in this next phase of life through cannabis, fitness, photography, traveling, many more things, one habit that I've really formed is reading. So this podcast essentially goes through some of the books I've been reading as of late, taking those lessons learned and applying them to experiences in my life. So before we jump into the book, let's go and start with the story for today. And this story actually happened right before I sat down to record this podcast. So, I get a call from my fiance, and it turns out someone had backed up and rubbed her car while she was getting her nails done. And fortunately, the person left a note on the dash, and she sent that over to me as well. And I was really finicky about that. I was really iffy, maybe they just left a note because, hey, someone might have been watching, right? So you can't just rub the car and drive off. So what ends up happening is I call this number, and what it sounds like is a young girl picks up on the other side. At first she doesn't pick up, and I leave a voicemail just being very friendly. I'm like, hey, my name is so and so. You hit my fiance's car. Feel free to call me back. I'm just glad everyone's okay. There's no injuries. My number is so and so, right? A couple seconds later, she calls me back, and you can tell she's kind of she's a little closed off. She thinks I'm going to yell at her. And so I just say, hey, look, first of all, what I want to say is thank you very much for leaving that note on the car. That was very kind of you. Not too many people would do that. And I appreciate you taking my call. And, if we can get this squared away quickly, that'd be great. But again, I'm just glad no one was hurt. And then she immediately changed her tone. She's like, no, you are so nice. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to ruin your day. I'm like, no, you didn't ruin my day. Let's go ahead and just see how we can get this resolved quickly. And then, so I'm helping her walk through it. She seems young, this has never happened before. She was like, I was going to go to the police. I just didn't know what to say to them. And I said, look, we'll figure it all out, right? And as long as we're communicative, I think we'll get it done relatively quickly. And she was really appreciative of that. And I think, it's an example, right? Not to be all lessons learned on this, but, it's just my attitude in that situation, I think carried through, right? I didn't want it to be a bad interaction. And luckily, fortunately, she responded in kind, right? So, I think that resonates a lot with me, but also it really relates to what I'm going to go through in today's book. So in any case, right, a very annoying thing that happened, but right, things like this happen. Life would not be as sweet if we didn't experience the occasional blip. And long story short, no one was hurt, no major damage was done, and we can resolve and move forward, right? And we can always look back and laugh on it. So in any case, I'm not glad it happened, but it's an opportunity for me to really step up, work on the things that I've been saying I'm doing, right? Work on this emotional intelligence and put it into play in a moment where, I was taken off guard. I was just working and I got this text of, this scratch on this large, rub up situation on my fiance's car, and that note that was left on her dash. And I immediately just responded, but I triaged it and say, look, I'm going to respond to this in a positive manner. I'm not going to let my shit carry over into somebody else, right? So in any case, not to preach here, let's go and jump into the book. So today we're going to go through part 2 of The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari by Robin Sharma. Robin Sharma, podcast with me, dog. I think it'd be a good time. So we went through the first few parts, right, in part 1. And we're going to go through the next 4 chapters in part 2 here. So again, The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari, a very idealistic book, a very simple book, but a very foundational effort in becoming woke, if you will, right? So let's just start with the next chapter. So this chapter is called A Spiritual Student of the Sages. So what I want to do is I'm just going to run through quotes and I'm just going to fill in the blanks. So the first quote goes like this. The longer I listened to Julian, the more I came to realize that my own spirit had become rusty. The longer I listened to Julian, the more I came to realize that my own spirit had become rusty. Now, this is something that I feel like would be hard to notice in yourself, right? There's so many tasks that we have to complete throughout the day, right? Grocery shopping, exercising, bills, work itself. It can weigh down on your mental health, right? Even with wedding planning, right? I find my weekends that used to be for unwinding and self-reflection are limited to the things I need to get done for the big day, right? So, a practice in really being conscious about, hey, where am I trending, right? But sometimes this would happen when I was younger, right? And I would hear about someone or hear someone be very passionate about what they're doing. And I'd be like, dude, that guy's full of shit, man. He's just on cocaine or something, right? But it's like, that's not true, right? People who have zest for life make you realize what you're missing, and that's why this whole new thing I'm doing is about finding that zest in life. I'm excited to podcast, I'm excited to read, and I like to talk about what I read. You ask my friends, I'm always talking about the things I'm learning, and how I apply them, and just the different ways my mind is moving now. And I feel like I'm getting that enthusiasm, and it's really contagious. But what I didn't notice was before I thought, hey, I got a job, I got my corporate career set up, I'm good, but there's more. And we're going to get into that later on in this podcast. Our second quote, he started noticing the beauty in the most ordinary of things. He started noticing the beauty in the most ordinary of things. Now, this reminds me of the walks I take every day, right? So every time I go for a walk, I try to notice something a little bit new, right? People have rearranged the way they have their garden set up. People have maybe a new mailbox. People are redoing their driveway, right? Just being aware of my surroundings and seeing the beauty in it, right? Just thinking, okay, so let's say my neighbor's getting a new driveway. There's a whole team that has to come together to do that, right? And just thinking about it. Decorations seasonally, autumn, Halloween, Christmas, Easter. The scene is constantly changing, even though I'm walking through it every single day. And noticing those changes makes me be present in the moment, right? I put my phone down. I don't really try to, fuck around with the songs on my phone too much. What I'm trying to do is mainly just be there in the moment and pay attention. So we'll hop off that quote. We'll come to our next one. His once overweight frame grew strong and lean, while the sickly pallor which had characterized his face was replaced by a splendid shimmer of health. His once overweight frame grew strong and lean, while the sickly pallor which had characterized his face was replaced by a splendid shimmer of health. Now, I truly believe that once you start organizing your mind, your body is going to follow suit, right? You got to take mental inventory of the good, the bad thoughts, the way you're trending, the way your thoughts are trending, right? You take that mental inventory and you start reflecting on it, right? And just like with your physical capabilities, your physical endeavors, if you want to achieve new heights, or if you want to just feel clean, you have to take a physical inventory of the things that you're putting into your body. So it's kind of like this mind-body yin-yang thing, right? They have to come together, and I think it starts with clearing your mind, right? Well, are you able to control your thoughts, or is it the other way around, right? Hopping off that quote, we'll jump to our next one. The world, and that includes my inner world, is a very special place. I've also come to see that success on the outside means nothing unless you have also have success within. The world, and that includes my inner world, is a very special place. I've also come to see that success on the outside means nothing unless you also have success within. Now, there's a huge difference that Robin Sharma will mention. There's a huge difference between well-being and being well-off. And, I maybe heard Joe Rogan say this once, and, podcast with me, dog. And other people say this, right? You should emulate the people who you believe to be successful, right? You should mock the people you believe are successful. And if there's not people around you who you think are successful, it's time to reevaluate, right? That latter half, I don't know if I believe in as much, But you know, as I embark upon this path, right, knowledge, life experience, that whole spiel, I realize there are certain qualities of people that I want to emulate, but I really haven't met one person that I truly want to be like. You know, everyone's running their own race. I don't want to run that race. I might like certain qualities, but I don't know if I'll ever find someone I want to truly be like. And what I do is I study human beings and I take things that I think are important, and I try to apply them to my life. Now, on the other side of that, right, in this social media age that we're living in, people can truly make it seem like their life is perfect, when in fact it might not be. And that can cause you to have some mental stress, right? But one thing that you have to know is that from seeing a video or a picture, you're never going to get the full picture, right? The full gauge on how one's life is, right? And just something you shouldn't really worry about, in my opinion. But what I will say is success on the outside does not mean anything unless you have success within. I believe that to be 100% true, right? I know hundreds of successful corporate executives that I would hate to be like, right? They're overweight, they're passive aggressive, they're disrespectful, they're demeaning individuals that I really want nothing to do with, right? Yes, they have some good qualities in terms of their work efficiency, their ability to lead people maybe and get things done. I can take that from them, right? But definitely don't want to emulate their full life. So a little ramble there. We'll hop off. Next quote. How can you do good if you don't even feel good? I can't love myself. I can't love you if I can't love myself. How can you do good if you don't even feel good? I cannot love you if I cannot love myself. Now, one thing I'll say is, oftentimes I'll see that people will enjoy putting off their own self-development because they want to help others or make everyone else's life better. And I'm not saying that's not a noble cause, right? Because it is, right? It is kind and it is fulfilling to help other people, right? But think about why you're doing that. Are you doing it because you want to put off helping yourself, or you want to put off your goals, or you want to put off your mental peace? Because if so, it might not pay off in the long run for you, right? We all got to take a look at ourselves first. For example, and I don't want to be offensive, but I might be a little offensive here, right? I know many priests, I know many maharajas, I know many folks in all religious institutions who will tell you how to live your life, but they are themselves overindulgent, right? So most of them are extremely overweight, don't take care of their health, right? And you can tell they don't take care of their bodies just by looking at them. And I'm not trying to fat shame here, right? I just don't think that you should be telling someone how to live your life if you aren't really as pious as you set out to be or so seem, right? You can't tell me that I'm living my life wrong or what have you if you are morbidly overweight and you clearly are overindulgent, right? Those are the exact things that religion teaches you not to do, is be overindulgent. So again, right, that might go either side of the fence, but I'm not worried about it, right? I'm just saying what I'm thinking here. So we hop off that quote. I thought about the vast pool of knowledge that I had not even begun to dip my fingers into. I had thought about the vast pool of knowledge that I had not even begun to dip my fingers into. So this is something that the one of the main characters is sitting in his office just kind of thinking about. Now, what I'll say is there's no way that one person can ingest all of the knowledge in this world. But I think it's a great endeavor to try, right? When we talk about specializing in financial freedom, you got to specialize in one thing, right? But what that does is put you off from experiencing all the other things that the world has to offer, right? I'm kind of afraid to specialize in something. I don't want to be the podcast guy, right? I don't want to be only doing that. I want to go make memories. I want to go travel. I want to go laugh a whole bunch. I want to go, do fuckboy shit all over the world with my friends, my family, my fiance, right? I want to go do all these things. And then I want to talk about it. I want to talk about what I learned, and I want to talk about where I'm headed next, things like that. But anyway, we'll hop off that quote and end that chapter. The next chapter is called The Wisdom of Personal Change. The first quote here. I am an artist at living. My work of art is my life. And that's a quote by Suzuki. I'm an artist at living. My work of art is my life. Now, this quote sums me up, right? I love it. It's like in an age where, like I said, everyone needs to have financial freedom or specialize in something. That's not wrong. I'm not going to say it's wrong. But being good at life is something to strive for as well, right? I want to be good at having conversations with people and connecting. I want to be good at listening. I want to develop qualities through my great habits and things like that, right? I want to constantly push myself to be in situations where I'm getting out of my comfort zone because I learned so much about myself and I really become this artist at living, right? Through self-reflection, stretching, going for long walks, exercising, reading, traveling, photography, things like that. I learn so much. And I'm looking to just enhance that perspective. And I just feel like you'll curb yourself from a lot of great interactions if you're not open to them, right? So we hop off that quote. My wife, Jenny, was always telling me that we should be meeting new people and exploring new things. My wife, Jenny, was always telling me that we should be meeting new people and exploring new things. Now, that's a sign of a very supportive partner, right? Oftentimes we can see if there's insecurities in relationships that, one partner doesn't want the other one to go out into the world and meet new people. They just want to hoard them, keep them to themselves and things like that. But a supportive partner will push you to meet new people and try new things and make new experiences. And because sometimes you yourself will be weary of trying new things, right? And that's when you need somebody else to say, no, you got this. Pick up the momentum a little bit. Let's go, So we go to our next quote. I began to realize the sterile world I had grown accustomed to had dulled my creativity and limited my existence. I began to realize the sterile world I had grown accustomed to had dulled my creativity and limited my existence. Now, sometimes when you work a corporate job, and I can attest to it, right, because that's what I do, you lose your bite for life. It takes guts to step out of your lane. It takes guts to be, innovative. And oftentimes you're met with some real resistance, and you're kind of just told to, hey, look, stay in your lane, bro. Don't worry about it, And over time, you lose that bite for life and those creative sparks, and you just become numb. And that's why I think it's important to have passions in life, right? Like this whole podcasting thing I'm doing might be stupid, right? It might be seriously dumb, but it's giving me a reason to talk, right? It's giving me a reason to be excited. And it kind of gets me up in the morning, right? I reach out to as many people as I can to say, hey, look, do you want to podcast with me? Do you want to talk to me? I've been connecting with people from high school, just saying, hey, look, let's podcast, let's hop on something and just like chat it up, So we hop off that quote, jump to our next one. Investing in yourself is the best investment you will ever make. Investing in yourself is the best investment you will ever make. Now, again, that's gold right there. Very foundational, but it's pristine. Now, let me tell you something. I'm cheap. I'm cheap as hell, right? Whether it's traveling, fitness, knowledge, anything else. My gut reaction is to be cheap about shit. But one thing you should never do, right, is be cheap about your health. Because health is the only real thing I think we have in this world, right? So that's one thing I've been trying to hone in on, right? About my health, man, spend the money, right? Gym memberships, weight training, supplements, things like that. Within my means, I spend money on myself, because I feel good. I feel better when I invest in myself. And it doesn't have to be financial, right? Invest in your mind. Spend time alone. Spend time silence. Go for long walks. Let your mind wander. Don't be afraid of it. Invest in traveling, right? That's a little bit more expensive, but the world has a lot to offer and it can really humble you. And that's why I love it. And now I don't feel as bad about investing in myself, right? Hop off that quote, jump into our next one. Who looks on the outside dreams. Who looks on the inside awakens. Who looks outside dreams. Who looks inside awakens. Now, I think this is what people are going to refer to as being woke, right? But it's so true. One thing that I think my fiance has been really surprised about is I'll talk about myself very objectively. From when we first started dating, or even from when I was a kid, I would be like, I ruined that concert for us or something like that, right? Like 5-6 years ago, because I couldn't put my shit aside. I was, maybe not having a good day, and I just, I just was being shitty that day. And I'll say that, and I'll know it because I'll reflect on it. I'll say, look, man, you shouldn't do that. If you commit to going somewhere, give it your all. Why drag your feet? So I'll do that even from when I was a kid. I'll say, look, I had this habit of just like, lying a whole bunch. I would, and I don't know what it was about. I'm still trying to peel back those layers, but I would lie a lot. And for no reason sometimes, and I can look back and admit that, right? I made those mistakes and I learned from it, and now, I'm better. So we hop off that quote. We jump into the next one. Next chapter. A most extraordinary garden. First quote. Most people live, whether physically, intellectually, or morally, in a very restricted circle of their potential being. We all have reservoirs of life to draw upon, of which we do not dream. Most people live, whether physically, intellectually, or morally, in a very restricted circle of their potential being. We all have reservoirs of life to draw upon, of which we do not dream. Now, you know what? So, I don't have any specific stories, but it happens a lot. So I'll chat with someone and I'll let them know some of the things I'm reading, some of the things I'm doing, and they'll see in my eyes, right? They'll see how excited I am about the things I'm doing. And they want that, right? They're taken aback by that enthusiasm that I'm sharing with them. And then I'll ask them, what do you want to do? Maybe you should jump on a podcast. Maybe you should start a YouTube channel. Maybe you should do something like that. It would be fun, even if it's not all about the subscribers, man. It's just about, putting that passion out in the world. And what you'll realize is that passion isn't enough, right? You have to love something enough that you'll work at it every single day, even when it's not quote unquote fun, right? Podcasting is fun for me. I love talking. I love chatting. I love reading. So I love sharing it. But I sit down and I draft up my talk tracks, right? I talk about what I'm going to say and I write it down. And what I do is, I'll go through a sweep of the quotes I want to incorporate in my next podcast. And then the next day, what I'll do is I'll put in my own stories and my own little tidbits. And then the third day, I'll ingest it. I'll read it through. And then the next day, I'll record it. So it's almost like a 4 or 5 day endeavor every time. And sometimes when I'm typing out my talk tracks, I'm like, fuck this, man. Like, this is shitty. I don't want to do this. This is boring right now. But then I'll put it down 20, 30 minutes later. Maybe the next day I'll pick it up again and I'll get that zest back, right? So it's something you have to continuously work for. It's not always splurging. It's not always excitement. But if you love something, you're going to work for it, So again, we all have these reservoirs of deep, deep potential. But if we get out of our own way, we can definitely tap into that a little bit. So we hop off that quote, jump to our next one. If you care for your mind, if you nurture it, and if you cultivate it just like a fertile, rich garden, it will blossom far beyond your expectations. If you care for your mind, if you nurture it, and if you cultivate it just like a fertile, rich garden, it will blossom far beyond your expectations. Now, in the same way you would care for a child or a flower, you should have the same tenacity with yourself, right? In order to get what you want out of life. You got to be conscious, you got to be present in the moment, and many more things to really get to where you want mentally, right? And I think ego is a big one, right? And I hear Joe Rogan talk about this a lot, what are we doing in our lives that are ego driven? Right? Are we doing things because we want recognition, because we look cool, because we have some pride struggle going on? At baseline, do you have that conversation with yourself, right? Obviously, our ego is there, right? And we have to think about it. Sometimes it works in very mysterious ways, but it's good to have a conversation. Hey, why did I do that? Or why am I doing this? Am I doing this because, it's giving me an ego boost, and I guess it's not wrong, but sometimes you have to get out of your own way to really experience some kind of enlightenment, right? I have to put my ego aside, my pride aside, and really be humble, be a student of the world. And I feel like that's a good way to experience fulfillment. Hop off that quote, jump into our next one. Worry drains the mind of much of its power, and sooner or later, it injures the soul. Worry drains the mind of much of its power, and sooner or later, it injures the soul. Now, what I'll say is worry is straight up crippling, you know? I've seen some worriers where they just can't do shit because they worry too much about every potential outcome, and it just stops them from doing anything. And that's sad to see, you know? My parents worried a lot, and sometimes they would spend days or weeks or months just worrying about things, you know, stress. And I think they might have been jarred by being immigrants, right? And not knowing if they were going to make it in America. So they just got used to it. Kind of like PTSD almost, right? And they just like started seeking that pain and things like that. But you waste a lot of time worrying, right? And maybe you do want to be concerned with things out of your locus of control, but I don't think so, right? Everyone wants to expand their locus of control, but people want to control their environment so badly at times. But I feel like just for your own mental peace, you got to let go a little bit, right? You got to do your best and just let happen what will, you know? Because if you continue to worry about every single outcome, I guarantee you will drive yourself mad. And I've done it before, you know? So we hop off that quote, go to our next one. To live life to the fullest, you must stand guard at the gate of your garden and let only the very best information enter. You truly cannot afford the luxury of a negative thought. To live life to the fullest, you must stand guard at the gate of your garden and let only the very best information enter. You truly cannot afford the luxury of a negative thought. Now look, only positivity, right? This is exactly what I'm out here for. Now, keeping negative thoughts out are hard, right? And like the quote says, you got to act like a bouncer for the nightclub that is your mind, right? You can't be letting just anything get in there. Only recipes for success are welcome. Only recipes for positive thinking are welcome, right? You know, negative thought can work its way in there and slowly infect the whole mind, you know? And you have to set expectations with yourself and with everyone in your life, right? I set expectations with myself for not having negative thoughts. And if I do, I think about why I'm having them, and I drill them down until they're no longer there. With other people, especially family, right? You have to set expectations. You have to say, look, I'm not going to deal with any negativity. When you come to me, you bring your best self to me, and we're going to go from there, right? That doesn't mean you can't have a bad moment, but you don't need to, no bullshit here, right? Just gather yourself. We're all adults. Let's have a good conversation. If you're upset, we can be upset, right? But no outbursts, none of that stuff. I'm not going to be used as a punching bag. I'm not going to be used, you know, as in any way that I don't want to be used in, right? So I think all that is on us, you know, and it's full within our control, even though sometimes we don't. Hopping off that quote, we jump to our next one. Rather than focusing on all the good in their lives and thinking of ways to make things even better, they are captives of their past. Rather than focusing on all the good in their lives and thinking of ways to make things even better, they are captives of their past. Now, you ever meet someone who has an issue, and after you hear them out and give them a solution, they still want to wallow in the past event, right? And I know everyone needs time, right? It's a situational thing. But that will become their reason for not taking charge of their life, right? Oh, I got this. Oh, this happened to me. You know, and it's like, you got to be wary of those types of people because they can be time and energy wasters for you, you know? If you love them, get them out of that funk because that's excuses 101, right? Oh, you know, I can't work out because, you know, I just, whatever reason, right? I can't, you know, pick up this book and read 10 pages a day for this reason. And I'm not saying everyone has to read or work out all the time, but you know, you want to be with someone or you want to be friends with someone who is, you know, kind of on that same wavelength as you, right? Or maybe not even the same wavelength, but someone who's going to take accountability for themselves, you know, and they're not going to let life they're not going to be a victim to life, you know, and that's the kind of person I resonate with. But I'm just saying that's for me, you know, not for everyone. You know, I've made my own mistakes in life and I've learned from them, and I'm not going to let them define me though, right? And that's some fucking High School Musical shit right there. But I acknowledge every mistake I've made, and I change my behavior and I move forward in life, right? Hopping off that quote, going to our next one. When you dedicate your life to transforming your inner world, your life quickly shifts from the ordinary into the realm of extraordinary. When you dedicate yourself to transforming your inner world, your life quickly shifts from the ordinary into the realm of extraordinary. Now, Roberto Bolaño said this in the Four Agreements. Roberto Bolaño, not Roberto Bolaño, my bad, dude. Don Miguel Ruiz said this in the Four Agreements. When you take charge of what you say, right? When you take charge of what you hear and you do and you think, your world will change, right? And it's very interesting because it's not like a color change. It's not like you go from, this apartment to a mansion. It's not that type of environment change. It's just the way you see life is going to change. And I feel like based on that, your outcomes are going to change as well. Life becomes this fun race that you're always excited for, right? You have this youthfulness to you. And even on your tough days, you look forward to life, right? You realize that it's a gift. It's a gift for you, right? Life is this gift. And you got to just, take advantage of it, right? Even if you don't think you have the power to, you do, right? You really do. So we hop off that quote and we jump to our next one. When you form the habit of searching for the positive in every circumstance, your life will move into its highest dimension. Now, when you form the habit of searching for positive in every circumstance, your life will move into its highest dimensions. Now, again, only positivity here, right? Life is definitely going to throw some bullshit at us at some point, and I'm sure there will be tough times ahead. But if you take those moments as learning experiences, it's an opportunity to laugh later, right? It's something to reflect on. If you lose your patience or your composure, though, you're always going to look back with a negative eye, right? And hopefully you can learn from that. But there's always silver lining, and that's something you just have to know. Sometimes it takes a little bit deeper of a dive to look at it, right? For example, the story I was talking about this earlier today, where my fiance's car got hit. Look, I that was an opportunity for me to show up for my fiance, right? She kind of didn't know what to do with it, and she's usually very on it. But I said, look, this is a moment where I got to step up. I got to take care of it. I got to remediate the situation. So I did. Even though it's something minor, I took charge of it. And now that brought us closer, right? That brought our bond a little bit closer. It made us stronger. So silver lining, always. So we hop off that quote. We jump to our next one. From struggle comes strength. Even pain can be a wonderful teacher. Now, there was a time where I struck out on my own. I just left my house one day, packed my bags up. I never came back. I slept in my car. I crashed on couches. And, that's not really like poverty or anything like that. But, it was tough for me. And that could be seen as, somewhat of a low point in my life. And it was, right? But I 100% gained a new perspective from life after that. My life changed completely and took the best turn it could since then. And I learned that I got these friends that love me, man. They took me in. And I learned to appreciate my relationships and whatnot. So, from struggle comes strength. So we hop off that quote, go to our next one. I suggest you stop judging events as either positive or negative. Rather, simply experience them, celebrate them, and learn from them. I suggest you stop judging events as either positive or negative. Rather, simply experience them, celebrate them, and learn from them. Now, let's go back to my boy Mark Wayans, right? What up? Podcast with me too, dog. So in any case, so when he eats something, right, he makes the classic face that he makes, that jizz face he makes. He's, oh, wow, right? If he likes it. Now, what I will say about that is, he likes it when he does that. But what he does do is he expresses the flavors. He objectively describes it, because that's what I'm trying to hear, right? He doesn't like sweet things. I've watched enough of his videos where I know he's not a sweets guy, but he's still going to describe the sweet to you. My fiance is a sweet guy, a sweet girl. So she definitely will resonate with the flavors he's describing. Now, I've been really getting into reviewing restaurants on on Google and whatnot and shit like that. But what I do is I always try to see what I would like to hear from a review, right? Objectively review it. How was the food? Yeah, okay, if you liked it, that's great. But how are the portions? How was the food cooked? Was there any additions that I should be aware of? Like portion size. I always notate how the portions were. Maybe you should order more food if you go there because the portions are small. So in any case, right, I could ramble on that for days, but it's a practice in not just judging it and not like forming your opinion on the event right away, right? Whatever happens to you, don't form your opinion on it immediately, even though you might want to. Just take in the objectivity of it and triage it accordingly, right? Don't see it as good or bad. See it as just an objective event and then take notes from it. That's going to be a good practice for everything in your life. So in any case, we hop off that quote, go to our next one. I was so busy chasing the big pleasures of life that I missed out on the little ones. I never read those great books. I haven't built any great friendships. I've never learned to appreciate great music. I was so busy chasing the big pleasures of life that I missed out on the little ones. I never read those great books. I haven't built any great friendships, and I have never learned to appreciate great music. So now this is a very direct quote and doesn't need much elaboration, but the beauty in life is the small things, right? Spending time with loved ones, creating relationships, laughing, getting out in nature, taking in knowledge. Legacy, all that stuff is great. I'm not going to downplay it. And some people rationalize leaving their imprint on the world and like these generational waves. But, let's not forget to enjoy the natural wonders that the world has to offer, right? I was watching this video of like Grant Cardone, and he does a lot of those videos where he's talking to someone on the street that, obviously it seems scripted, right? And he's talking about the Cardone name and generation, and that's good, man. He's working. He's a millionaire, bro. Probably maybe a billionaire. He's doing his thing. But those things aren't important to me right now, right? Like leaving a legacy, I'm not really sure what that means right now. What I am concerned with is making the most of my life, making the most of my relationships, not sacrificing my relationships for more money or anything like that, because I got good people around me and I want to make sure I spend as much time with them on this earth as I can. So we hop off that quote and we jump into our last chapter, which is kindling your inner fire. Now, first quote, the beauty of the whole exercise is that as you strive to improve the lives of others, your own life will be elevated to its highest dimension. The beauty of the whole exercise is that as you strive to improve the lives of others, your own life will be elevated to its highest dimensions. Now, my whole thing isn't really about helping others, but in ways it is, right? I'm trying to be more enlightened here. I'm trying to, find something I love to do, and I really do love podcasting. So, but at the same time, it is for others, right? I am putting it out on a public platform for people to listen if they so choose. Now, when I was growing up, I wish someone pulled me aside and gave me the advice that I'm going through in my podcast right now. And that's the whole reason I do it, because I think it's very important. Now, let me tell you something. I used to be heavily involved in my youth group at the temple I used to go to and things like that, right? I used to be heavily involved in it, and I actually ran a youth group for a little bit. Now, what I wanted to do was, hey, look, I'm talking to these kids who are 18, 19 at this point, and they're about to go to college, right? And although this, this very religiously rich information is good for them, I suppose, what I want to do is give them an open forum for someone who's older than them, like myself, to have them ask questions about college, right? About girls, about, drinking, about, if they get presented with any kind of drugs or anything like that, just things like that. I wish someone told me that, hey, look, dude, just do your best in school, pass your classes, perform well, take pride in being good at what you do. But don't just strive for A's all the time, right? Don't just try to just say, I got an A just to tell other people. Find something you love to do and pursue that. That's what I would tell somebody. But I kind of got kicked out for doing that. So, I guess I'll go fuck myself there. But it's all good, So we hop off that quote and we go ahead and jump into our final quote for the day. So the quote goes a little something like this. Decide to be the master of your own fate. Decide to be the master of your own fate, right? There's a lot of times in life where we can say, oh man, dude, I can't even do shit. Life is just fucking me up right now. Take responsibility for the whole world. That is the only way you can course correct and really control your happiness, right? If I go somewhere and someone's literally trying to pick a fight with me and I haven't done anything to them, I'll take responsibility for that. I'll say, you know what, man? let me figure out what I shouldn't have done or what I should have done to mitigate that situation, right? Always take it back to yourself. Don't worry about the things that you can't control, but you can control your fate. You can control your outcomes just by changing your mindset, right? Just by being positive in life. And even if it's only slightly within your control, take responsibility for it internally, ingest it, and see what lessons you can really take from it. But you know what? That's all I got for you guys today. I hope you guys are enjoying these podcasts. If anyone wants a podcast with me, feel free. Again, hope you guys are enjoying. Feel free to leave me any feedback. And remember, only positivity. Thanks, guys.